Hello everyone, Celeste here, and today I'm going to be exploring even more of the comedy cliché mania that is Let's Play. We left off on the ending of episode 5 if you haven't watched my last video where I read and summarize through the first 5 episodes of that webtoon. And just like last time, there will be a format for each episode, and without that further ado, let's get started. So the scene begins where Sam gets up and she had little to no sleep thanks to Marshall. Her alarm clock goes off at a whopping 5 o'clock in the morning, so she does what any of us humans would do. Then plays through a little pixelated montage of just Sam doing her daily activities before she gets to the place that I could only assume that she's working at. And as she gets there, we then meet our third dude, Charles. And he looks awfully similar to the other guy, which was Link, that we met at the coffee shop. I have a feeling that the author just has like this meme maker app with their, hot dudes, and then they're like, okay, time to make another dude. I'm gonna just do the thing where I take that format and then just adjust it a little bit and then give it a completely new name and backstory. Charles then says, hey Sam, are you ready for the meeting or did you just not sleep well last night? And Sam's like, I didn't sleep well, obviously. Then Charles is like, oh, well that's a pity. I got our meeting arranged, but for the time being, can you make me some coffee real quick? Because when I do it, I get nothing but a cup of hot dirt water, but when you do it, you get the Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Sam then says, alright, I'll do it, and as she's making the coffee, some dude who looks like he works at Target pops up out of nowhere. Then he's like, hey Sam, guess what happened last night? Then Sam is like, what happened? Did they finally stop making Toy Story sequels? Then he's like, no, they're not letting Tom Hanks out of that voice acting dungeon anytime soon. I'm trying to say that you're master rank on Overwatch. Then he goes on to ask Sam about her weekend. Then Sam is like, oh yeah, my weekend was perfect. I definitely did not suffer with a lack of sleep thanks to Markiplier moving next door. The guy's face instantly shifts from his normal face into a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson kind of face, and then they get called into a meeting. I don't think the meeting being, written and illustrated out in the story is very necessary. There is a lot of not-so-specific information thrown left and right, just like any meeting, and for all I know, we could be having a meeting about programming the Untitled Goose Game sequel. So, after the meeting is over, Sam then ends up running into another person whose name is Lucy. Lucy then explains to Sam that her dad wants to see her, and then Sam's like, wait a minute, I have a dad? Then Lucy's like, yep, a very cranky one, if I may add. The guy who looks like he works from Target is observing this, and then he looks over at Charles and he's like, hey Charles, you got a minute? But before we can see anything happen, it cuts back over to Sam, who is standing at the door to the CEO's office. Then they had a happy family reunion and lived happily ever after. The end. No, I'm just kidding. However, that is the end of this episode, just her standing out at the door. So Sam enters the room and she's like, you wanted to see me, right, Dad? And she's like, yes, have a seat. How have you been? Sam responds with, well, it hasn't been well, but I don't want to talk about it. And her dad basically begs her to talk about her weekend, followed by the over-the-top dramatic tantrum that he throws over, not seeing his daughter or his wife. And Sam's like, Dad, you're acting like you're 6 rather than 60. She also adds to this that Mom is not dead, she's just in Florida trying to film a commercial. And Dad's like, yes, but it's been long, very long, it's been years. To cope with the grievance that has lasted me a fortnight, I've been watching her PP No Working commercial. So after a little more convo, Sam is then asked to call her mom, and she does. And she's like, oh, okay, hey Dad, you're being a little too clingy. So after Sam tells her dad not to call Mom anymore, her dad then gets back to acting like a dying donkey. Umed, the Target worker, and Charles then have a discussion, and they make some changes to the project that they're working on, and long story short, Sam comes back over to Umed, and Umed is like, hey Sam, show him what you're made of, you now get this new role. And then the episode ends off with Shaggy from Scooby-Doo popping up out of nowhere. I am not even kidding, I found the whole ass Scooby-Doo gang in this comic. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Oh, sorry. Okay, so this episode starts out at the coffee shop. Sam is talking with Link up at the front desk, and he's asking her if she has any big plans for tonight. Sam answers him with, yes, I have work. Then Link says, cool, can I have some more information on what you're doing? Which I think is kind of stupid for him to ask that, because if we look back at episode 2, where Sam first talked about her hobbies and her job, Link didn't understand shit. He thought that she was talking in like Chinese or something. It's like Link was playing old Genshin and he clicked on Timaeus instead of the alchemy bench. Like, okay, dipshit, I get that you're interested in alchemy, but can I please craft my condensed resin so I can go in the domain? But that was fixed later on. By that I mean the Timaeus thing. No way in hell is Hoyoverse gonna fix the artifact system anytime soon. There's a brief pause in the conversation, and then we get this panel of Link, which looks like he actually took a sip out of Sam's coffee, and then Sam's like, "Did you just drink out of my no?" He nervously asks her if she has any plans for Friday night. He offers to take Sam to go see a movie with him, but then he learns that Sam is actually just 3 midget Discord mods in a trench coat. That's not actually what happened, she just ditches him for gaming. Although I prefer it if it was just, turns out to be 3 Oompa Loompas in a trench coat, and then they hop up on the reception desk of some Starbucks in the middle of the night, and then they start shuffling. Then up top there would be that caption just saying, "No bitches?" I question my sense of humor sometimes. Pan over to this character named Dee, who we met back in episode 3 along with Link at the coffee shop. She makes the suggestion that everyone goes on a hike on Saturday. I'm gonna hike these nuts. Then Sam is like, "I can't, I have asthma." Then Link blabbers a little more about, how he wants to go out with Sam, and then Dee's like, "Alright, give her the damn drink." She's holding up the line of invisible men, and I don't know how much patience they have left before they kill all of us. Sam takes her stuff, then she bids farewell to them. We are now back at Sam's apartment, and she's looking over the stuff for the new game that they're developing. And once Sam opens the tab to see the concept art, she's like, "Okay, yeah, that looks a little bit like shit." Followed by this top-tier illustration of Sam looking like a bird in waiting to take a shit on somebody's car. Then Sam suddenly hears a loud WTF, which I could only assume was next door. The first thing she does as a reflex is she spits her drink out as if a 3-year-old had said fuck rather than someone her own age. Then all of a sudden she loses her grip on her coffee I don't know how that happens. Then she just splashes it all over her computer. That action alone said a lot about Sam's relationship with her computer than anything else in this entire story. We have seen more than plenty of dynamics in this comic, yet this one still manages to speak the most to me. Sam storms out of her room, walks over to the entrance of Marshall's room, and then she, tries to confront him. Instead of, talking and making a compromise like a normal human being, she just knocks on his door really loudly and she basically just pussied out. So the next morning, Sam wakes up to find out that her dog had torn up a random piece of paper. She grows very curious to this, so she decides to pick up every single scrap that was on the floor and tape it back together to see if she can get anything. Turns out that this was a note that Marshall had left under her doorstep. I'm sorry, everyone's doorstep, actually. Sam just freaked out for a moment because she thought she was the only one who would get this kind of note. Does Marshall have some sort of megaphone shoved in his throat? Because even the room that was the polar opposite of where he was got a note. The only other scenario that I can think of that would carry as much nightmare fuel as this one would be my mom snoring in a hotel. So after that little scene is out of the way, we arrive at the workplace. So after that, we just have to read through a very boring and cheesy humor-filled montage of the project. It's boring and I really don't want to explain a lot of this. A, because I already have a lot on my mind, including college and just other stuff, and B, I want to get to the fun stuff, if there is any. So after this little montage, we fast forward over to Sam getting a message on her phone, and then a bunch of other random people, aside from her friends, getting a random message. After a little preview with the message tells Sam that she needs to go to some pizzeria, and we fast forward over to her checking in her locker yes? No? Maybe? It's a mail thing. It's a mailbox. And then before you know it, surprise, motherfucker! Markiplier pops up out of nowhere. Marshall. I keep getting them mixed up. Sam then runs out of the way like a headless chicken, as if she saw Colleen Ballinger rather than Marshall Law. And Marshall's like, "Don't worry, no ukulele here." Sam then gets upset and she's like, "Well, this is the 3rd time you've done this week." And then she realizes that Marshall isn't really feeling so good.
We realize here that Marshall is pretty sleep deprived, and I mean, I don't blame him. I would be too if I've been listening to my voice on repeat for over the span of a few months. Basically just huddled up in an insane asylum that's my college dorm. Sam tries to confront him about, taking better care of himself. He clearly dodges this question like a relatable idiot. Relatable for once. Idiot, always. This conversation goes on for a good while, and then Sam gets a notification and she has to hurry to the pizzeria. The reason she has to go there is because, like it said in the message, there is a big tournament being held between gamers and stuff, and it definitely seems like something that she does not want to miss out on. After that, we see a human incarnation of Bowser, which looks much worse than anything out of the old Super Mario movie, not the one that came out this year. And then to top it off, we have Olivia, who definitely looks a lot like Princess Peach. Everybody starts fighting and messing around like a bunch of kids in a high-pixel Bed Wars lobby. And then that's pretty much the end of the story. Or, I apologize, the end of this episode. And this officially concludes 10 full episodes of Let's Play, and don't worry, I'm not planning to do any more. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that thumbs up, and do not forget to also hit that big subscribe button. It's right in front of you. And without that further ado, this has been Celestia, and where is my cake?